7th, 2021. We will call this meeting to order. We have our invocation and pledge of allegiance by Councilmember John Riggs.
I'm going to ask Marcus Toole if he'll give us invocation this morning, please.
God, we thank you for this day. We thank you for each person of council, as well as each person here, and for the whole of Statesboro. We pray that you be with us, be with the council members as they make decisions regarding the city. May it be done to your glory and for the good of all people. Thank you, and amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We'll move down to agenda item 3, public comments. Leah, do we have any public comments?
No, Mayor.
All right, we'll move down to agenda item 4, consideration of a motion to approve the consent agenda. The consent agenda includes the approval of minutes for our August 17th work session and council meeting, our special call meeting for August the 24th, and 2 public hearings for August the 31st. Is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, it also includes agenda item B, which is consideration of a motion to approve the due date for December 20th, 2021 for the City of Statesboro property tax bills. Is there a motion to approve 4B?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we'll move down to agenda item 5, public hearing and consideration of a motion to approve resolution 2021-33, a resolution setting the millage rate for ad valorem property taxes for the 2021 calendar year for the City of Statesboro, Georgia at 7.308. Is there a motion to approve? Is there a motion to open the public hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, Mr. Penny, if you'll give us some insight on that, please.
Mayor, and members of the council, annually, you have a responsibility to set the tax rate, the millage rate. And the council has the ability to roll the taxes back if you deem it appropriate. And in this case, you see a minor, modest increase of about 2.02%. That is not the council taking action to actually increase the taxes, property tax rate. However, that increase comes from either some new construction or some renovations that have occurred over the last year. That 2.02% represents an increase of about $150,000 in additional ad valorem tax revenue. And this is, again, a legal requirement. And so, as a manager, I would recommend that we not roll our property taxes back for a couple of reasons. One, it's a natural occurrence in our market. Second of all, during the course of the fiscal year, we actually use about $1 million of our fund balance in order to balance our budget, with the hopes of not spending that money. But in the case that we should actually have to spend into the fund balance, those funds are non-recurring funds. So this natural growth will also help us in trying to reduce our dependency upon that fund balance. And then the other piece of it is, Mayor, there are some things that are going to be coming before this council as far as related operational expenses, which we have not discussed yet, but you will be hearing about shortly, that are essential to providing good public safety operations in our city. And so for that matter, we would recommend that the council not roll back the tax rate, but establish the tax rate at 7.308. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, is there anyone here to speak for this request? Anyone here to speak against? All right, is there a motion to close the hearing?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we'll open it up for council discussion. Any discussion by council?
Just to be clear, Mr. Penny, no one's tax rate is going up on their house. And the reason our digest grew is because the city grew.
Yes.
Very good, thank you.
All right. So Phil, you saying that the tax rate 7.308 is the same as it was from 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021?
That's what I'm saying, there's
We're
only
not
been.
raising taxes.
And it's,
I know that's what you want.
right.
and it's still lower than the tax rate was in 2013.
Yeah, there you go. So, just as a point of clarification, right?
No, but I literally had a couple people ask me over the weekend, you know, oh, I heard my taxes were going up. No,
Yeah.
they're not.
Exactly.
At least not from us, maybe the county or the BOE, but not us.
Yeah.
I think
So,
we
we
all
don't-
did that.
Well, there you go.
But when it's that high, you can roll it back, right? Right. Yeah. Yeah. So what then? Yeah. All right, with that being said, is there a motion, from council to approve?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we'll move down to agenda item 6. Consideration of a motion to approve the affordable housing plan for the city of Statesboro, Georgia. Mr. Penny, if you will, give us some insight on this.
Mayor, members of the council, for 2 years now, we've been working on, we haven't been working on the housing plan, but for the 2 years that I've been here, we've been working on how we improve neighborhoods in our community that have some distressed housing. So for the last year, we have been in the process of developing affordable housing plan. And as you know, we have great interest in applying for CHIP funds and for CDBG funds. And in order to really make a strong case to DCA, having an affordable housing plan in place is important. We've enlisted the services of Blakely Group. We've also utilized the services of CRC as they have prepared the affordable housing plan as our consultant, so that we can put this out so the public knows what our plans and what our intentions are when we have funds available. And so it is important to have an adopted plan that we will share with DCA and with our public. And so for that matter, we would recommend that the council adopt the affordable housing plan that we talked about at the last work session. We talked about it several months ago, and it's before you today to officially adopt this affordable housing plan. We recommend it to you, Mayor.
Good deal. Thank you, Mr. Penny. Any discussion by council?
I've got a couple of questions, please. I know we've been looking at this in various forms, like you said, for quite a while. But as I was reading through the final product, I was curious about the Section 8 housing. So right now, individuals who are savvy enough to know about it and want to try to get it have to deal directly with the state. So one of the recommendations was that we ask the Statesboro Housing Authority to take on, kind of be the middle person for that. Is that correct? Is that part of the plan?
And I'm gonna look to Kathy, and I believe that is the case.
Yes, that is correct. Right now, anyone who wants to apply for Section 8 has to go to Atlanta and apply through their offices up there. So it would be much more efficient if the housing authority would assume that role for the Statesboro residents.
So that's part of the plan. Have we already reached out and have any indication about their ability to take it on?
Not at this point, but the executive director is on our gig neighborhood committee, and we will certainly have that conversation once this plan is adopted.
Thank you.
And it is a normal practice, community I came from for the housing authority, was to keep with those Section 8 vouchers. And that is an important relationship to have.
Yeah, it makes sense to me.
Yes.
So a couple of other things, and I realize this sounds like kind of a broad, generic plan that's our general direction, and a lot of the details still have to be worked out. But another piece I picked up on was the TAD expansion, the recommendation to expand TAD, so that folks who are fixing up houses in these depressed areas can get some relief through that, financial relief.
again, I'm gonna call on Ms. Kathy.
Yes, that's certainly one of the recommendations, and again, once this plan is approved, we will certainly look into that as a viable tool to provide some more funding sources.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah, we're trying to be as creative as we can.
I will say, Sherry, TAD money is typically not used for single-family residential type use, and it's specifically for public infrastructure. So it can be used for sidewalks and green space, but it can't necessarily be used for development. So it's a good one, but it is limited.
Yeah, but it's good for infrastructure use, which will have a positive effect on the neighborhoods, and so I think
Agreed.
that's where we're coming from on that
Mm-hmm.
one.
And so one of the other recommendations I saw and was pleased and surprised about was the possibility was offered of the city either acquiring, leasing mobile homes and setting up a temporary housing, since there's such a crush in people looking for places. That was included in the report. So if we explore that and find it's a viable option, you would come back to council with that, I'm assuming?
Absolutely, and the idea is that we need a viable relocation plan, because some of these homes are pretty much not fixable. And so, therefore, until you replace that housing unit, where do you temporarily relocate residents to? And so one of the thoughts was to use mobile homes, a la like the FEMA model, if, when people get relocated because of hurricanes and storms. So that was the purpose for putting that in there.
Okay.
And to that point, again, previous experience being a FEMA, because you do have to provide some relocation, which can be very expensive, we would have to come back to you to allow that to go in that zoning district. But it would be for a temporary time, and then afterwards, because I can tell you, I've had experience where folks have stayed there for 2 years, and you had to pull them out of there. But in this case, it would just be while that renovation is occurring.
Sounds good, a lot of good things in here.
Good, thank you.
Any further discussion by council? Seeing that there is none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we'll move down to agenda item 7. But before we go into agenda item 7, I do want to say this. Statesboro, this is a big deal. This is a huge deal for the city of Statesboro. So, council members, thank y'all for definitely vetting this and making sure this is what our city needed. With that being said, we'll move down to agenda item 7, which is consideration of a motion to approve an intergovernmental agreement between Bullock County, City of Statesboro, Bullock County Board of Education, Georgia Southern University, Ogeechee Technical College, City of Brooklyn, and the towns of Portal and Webster relating to maintenance of countywide PD25 radio system. Contract is 1 year with 4 additional 1-year renewal terms. Mr. Penny, if you can give us some insight on that, please.
Mayor, members of the council, I guess it was in 2018 that Bullock County actually purchased the new radio system. And what this intergovernmental agreement actually does is establishes a parameter for how that radio system will operate. But it also lays out what the operation and maintenance costs will be to the city and all the other participating members. This has been something that I know since I've been here, the county manager has worked very hard and diligently on to get this cooperative agreement between all the parties that are involved, to a point that some have talked about not utilizing the radio system. It is very important to have all of these organizations be a part of this radio system, because the radio system provides that interoperability in cases of major emergencies that would even tie to our state radio system. And so the cost to the city is about $127,000 annually. It comes about a little bit more than $10,000 a month for our operational maintenance costs. And we do recommend to you, we may be the first one of these community to actually approve this document. It is on the county commissioner's agenda for later this afternoon. we do recommend to you that you approve this intergovernmental agreement with Bullock County and the other entities that have been announced in this document.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Penn. Any discussion by council?
Mr. Penny, this is a battery-operated radio system, so it's like backup if there's power failures and that sort of thing, that everybody can stay in communication.
It's battery operated.
No, these are like their full-time radios.
This is our public safety system, and I would say, I am sure with the, it's not battery
It's
operated.
generator backup.
But I would say there's a backup system, just in case the actual tower, I believe, sits in Chatham County, that provides services to our radio system.
Thank you.
Any further discussion by council? Seeing that there is none, is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we'll move down to agenda item A, consideration of a motion to approve the acceptance of the 2020 Assistance to Firefighters Grant, which has been awarded to the Statesboro Fire Department. Mr. Penn.
Mayor and council, we actually applied for about $151,000, but we're very happy that we were able to get $35,000, which is actually a renewal of the grant that we received last year that establishes a medical director for the fire department. And so it was funded again. That $35,000 is really about $31,000. There's a 10% match of about $3,100 that the city will have to provide. So this will be the second year of this funding. And let me just simply say to you, this has been an invaluable tool to the fire department, and I'm going to go on the limb and say to the entire city. The medical director actually participated in our quarterly supervisor meeting this past week, talked about the importance of vaccinations, and so this is very important, and we would recommend approval of the grant. Proceed the grant.
Thank you, Mr. Penn. Any discussion by council? Seeing that there is none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right. Let's move down to agenda item 9, consideration of a motion to approve the acceptance of the 2020 FPS and S grant, which has been awarded to the Statesboro Fire Department.
And Mayor and Council, this grant is for $14,000, and what it provides is an electronic fire extinguisher training simulator that can be used to help train people on the appropriate use of fire extinguishers. This grant it's a $14,000 grant. Again, we have a 10% match. So a little bit more than about $13,000 that will be received, and the city will provide the balance of the funding. We do recommend approval of the receipt of the grant.
Thank you, Mr. Penn. Is there any discussion by council? Seeing that there is none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second? Thank you. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. We move down to agenda item 10, which is consideration of a motion to approve the award of contract to Harper Construction for the construction of classrooms and use of force de-escalation laboratory at the Joint Sheriff's Office Police Department Range Training Facility in the amount of $66,210. Funding for the project is from the CJCC grant proceeds. Mr. Penn.
Mayor, I don't know that I can add much. We do recommend this to you, that you authorize, award the contract to Hawk Construction in order to build a simulator.
Okay, thank you. Any discussion by council? Seeing that there is none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We move down to agenda item 11, consideration of a motion to approve payment to Stacy Underwood LLC, doing business as Uncle Sugar's, 434 South Main Street, in the amount of $29,235.02 for sign relocation and construction easement acquisition. Expenses will be paid from T-Splosh funds. Mr. Penny.
Mayor, members of council, down on the Blue Mile, big project started back in July. And as a part of that, we have a number of signs that have to be relocated, but I think this is probably the biggest sign that we're having to deal with. We have to move signs out of the right of way on the private property. And also in this case, we actually have to close one of the driveways that's coming in that you have access to from Shug's. And so staff has negotiated with Stacy, did I get his name?
Underwood.
Underwood, I want to call him Smallwood, Underwood, for the amount that's before you, the $29,235.02, and we do recommend approval of the agreement with Stacy Underwood.
Okay. Any discussion by council? Seeing that there is none, is there a motion to approve? So moved. Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. All right, we move down to agenda item 12, which is consideration of a motion to approve a memorandum of understanding and agreement with Georgia Southern University for development of Aikens Boulevard Phase 2. Mr. Penny.
Mayor, members of the council, if you remember back in May, we came to you and we had the first phase of the project, and you approved the agreement with the university that they would actually manage the contracts and cover the cost. Well, this is the continuation of the Aikens Boulevard project. With all the funding will come from GDOT. And if there's any other funding, that's gonna come from Georgia Southern. It will just work through the city of Statesboro, and we will assist with the oversight of the project. We do recommend the approval of the agreement with the university to move this project forward.
Okay. Council, any discussion? Seeing that there is none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, we'll move down to agenda item 13, other business from city council. Is there any other business from city council?
We can talk about vaccine incentives.
Whatever other business, anything that you want to bring up?
I'm gonna talk about that in my report.
Okay.
That's fine, thank you.
Okay, good deal. All right, seeing that, okay, we move down to agenda item 14, which is city manager comments.
Mayor and council, I have a number of items I just wanted to bring to you before I get into two important reports. I do want to just bring to council's attention, we're entering that fall season where we're starting to see a lot of activities, public activities that require our staff. And I just want to get your support and advice in some of this, especially where it entails utilizing city staff. If our infection rate stays at the place where it is right now, it's about 27% positivity rate. I'm interested in hearing from you how you would like for us to proceed. With that kind of infection rate, we need to be socially distancing and not encouraging a lot of, we're not trying to support a super spreader. And we had an event that was supposed to occur on the 18th of this month. Staff did not approve that. It's going to take a lot of our resources in order to be able to manage that. And we may have another parade in October. Hopefully by the time we get to October, our infection rate will be below 5%. But we will be talking to the sponsors of these events about the implications of having these events where we have a lot of people in close contact. What they do on private property is one thing, but utilizing a lot of city resources in order to support an event that could actually help the spread of COVID is a concern that I just bring to your attention. And ask them.
This is the position of the mayor. At this point right now, it would be unwise under the circumstances that we're facing as far as the spread of COVID within our community, to be able to support these initiatives, though they are great initiatives and we want to see people come together. But in our current climate, it's just not the wise thing to do, especially the strain that we're seeing on our medical infrastructure, as well as what we're seeing as far as the number of people that's actually losing their fight to COVID-19. That is the position of the mayor. I will lean to what council believes, but that is the position of the mayor. I really wish that we could do this in a safer environment, yes. But my opinion is that with these numbers where they are, it will be unwise to go that route. Now, for us for the event in October, if our rate is down, then I think we'd be able to make that call at that time, but in our current situation, I just don't see us being able to do it safely.
Can I ask for clarification, or are you asking about special events specifically?
Well,
I mean, your request was rather vague, so I'm just trying to
Well-
put some context around it.
especially events that require a lot of city resources, police, and the example, and the reason I've raised this is because our city forces are impacted by COVID as well.
Sure.
We have staff that's out, that is putting a strain on our resources as well. And when I say that, I'm not just talking about the city manager's office, I'm talking about public safety. And so if we're gonna have events that require us to block off intersections and all that, then we have to staff that. And so I just want to be able to have these conversations with the sponsors. And I'm not saying that no one is pushing back on us right now, but I just need to be able to say, this is a position that I share with council, and it's a concern. And I'm not saying they don't have that concern, but I need to be able to speak in a unified voice with those individuals that, I'm not talking about, like, there's a farmer's market that's downtown, but everybody has to make their own decision about whether it's an outside event, but it doesn't require a lot of our police or fire for that event to occur. But when we have to close off streets and we have to monitor things, that becomes a real strain on our resources under current circumstances. So I'm being vague, I'm not being specific. I'm just talking in general, Mr. Boyd.
Well, good, at least that was perception.
Ms. Kenny, the next thing that occurs to me is the Taste of the Borough downtown this Friday that's already scheduled. Would that be one that comes under this heading, if you're looking for guidance?
I saw your email to the downtown development manager. That's one we could talk about. Last week we had an event with some students in downtown on Friday afternoon, Friday evening. And we're in a tough spot right now. Our community's in a tough spot right now. Our hospital is overrunning. And I just want to be able to communicate to them. Council's concerned, I'm concerned that these events, we might need to look at holding off on some of these events until we're in a better place than we are right now. And that's all I'm asking.
I mean, from my standpoint, if this is a staffing issue where you don't have the people to demand the events or staff the events, excuse me, that's one thing. But we just had 2 football games this weekend. Southern had 17,000 people at that game. There were plenty of people at the Statesboro High School game. I mean, what's a little event with 300 or 400 people downtown all outside going to compare to something like that? You know what I mean? But if it's a staffing issue, I understand. If you don't have the people, that's different.
It can be.
But I mean, making some statement while we have 18,000 people at a football game, you know?
So we don't control the football game, and of course, we don't control DSDA, but we partner with them. My concern, I love Taste of the Borough. I think it's a fabulous event, and I always go. But when you go, you're going into you got lots of people crowded into each of the places, indoors, taking off their masks to eat. It's an eating event, and it's indoors, it's not outdoors. So I do have great concerns about us endorsing it or participating or supporting it.
I'm not trying to create a problem, I just.
The problem's here.
Is that the only event, or is there more events that you have concern about?
Well, I know, we were looking at a big event, I think it was October with the homecoming, and,
You talking about for us doing the downtown get down?
Yes.
Yeah, that, we can't do that. Yeah, that wouldn't be wise.
that would be a big event.
Yeah.
That we would be sponsoring.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I'm clear that
Yeah.
that wouldn't be a good idea with us sponsoring it. But as far as the what is it called?
Taste of the Borough.
Taste of the Borough, I don't know.
Yeah.
we can have some conversations with them, if they can do it with limited resources. I can tell you, there's a strain on our resources.
Yeah.
I can tell you, there's a strain with fire, there's a strain with police.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, I think we have about 10 people out in the city organization.
Mhm.
And so if they can do it with limited resources from the city,
Mhm.
I know we're not trying to we're not trying to close the city down.
Yeah.
But at the same time, at 27% positivity rate in our community,
Mhm.
that's a concern. We want to be below 5%
Mhm.
positivity rate.
Yeah.
I'm not trying to create a problem, I just
Okay.
want to share this concern with you. I'm going to call your attention to, in your FYI packet, I want to talk about ARPA funding.
Okay.
A little bit more, something a little bit more positive. In the ARPA funding, we've been talking for some time. The city of Statesboro is going to receive about $12.3 million over the next couple of years. And this funding comes as a result of Congress passing the American Recovery Act back in March. And so we already have $6.1 million in the bank that came in July. And so our responsibility, we have to fit within the guidelines, and even the final guidelines aren't completely done. But some of the guidance is funds could be used to help improve neighborhoods in certain census tracts, which certainly fits into things that we would like to do in our community. It also can be used for infrastructure. And we have a number of neighborhoods that have been in our city for a number of years that we haven't had the resources to actually ensure that those communities have water and sewer, and we can even deal with stormwater. And so we also have an issue of food insecurities in our community. The Statesboro Food Bank if we are successful, if the city is successful with the elderly housing at the old Julia P. Bryant Elementary School, the food bank is going to be displaced. And it could come as soon as May of next year. And so we need to find, assist with them in finding a new location. There's some opportunities I mentioned to you last time. There's $1 million grant that either the city or the county can apply for that would help set up the food bank. But for $1 million, they might not be able to get the building and all that they need. So the city and the county could provide resources from the ARPA funds to help establish that food bank. The only thing that we would say is that if city funds are going to be used, we would like for that location to be inside the city limits of Statesboro, hopefully on a transit line so that folks can get to it. And then we can also utilize these funds for lost revenues if the city can establish that we lost any revenues during the pandemic. So in my memo, this is what I laid out. And we're to have public conversations with our citizens as to how we plan to utilize these funds. So what I laid out to you in my memo is that you just adopted the housing plan, affordable housing plan. For housing rehabilitation in the target area, which is the Johnson Street neighborhood, we would recommend that we use $1.5 million of the ARPA funds to work on rehabilitating homes in that neighborhood. But one of the things when you do a target neighborhood, you have other neighborhoods that folks want their houses repaired, and they get very, I won't say envious when they see good things happening in another neighborhoods. So my experience has been that when you have a target neighborhood, it's also important to establish scattered site housing so that it may take you 2 or 3 years before you can establish another target neighborhood, but people in those neighborhoods still need decent sanitary and safe housing. So with scattered site housing, we can still work in those neighborhoods, even though we might not be putting all the resources that we're putting in the target area. So I would recommend that we spend $1 million for scattered site housing. So in effect, you'd have $2.5 million that would go toward scattered site, toward housing rehabilitation out of this first funding. And then laid out about $3 million in water and sewer funding in those neighborhoods that have been in the city for a number of years that continue to ask for water and sewer services. And so this would help us in getting there. Laid out for food insecurities, $500,000. And in that thinking, that number might go up, no, might go down. But with the food bank, what we'd like to be able to do, and working with Tom Couch over at the county, again, with the being inside the city, we would hope that we would be able to help the food bank first get the $1 million to establish, to help with the establishment of a new facility, or a reuse facility. But what we'd like to do is not put them in a position where they have a mortgage on a building where they're struggling to pay the monthly mortgage payment. But the board would be responsible for raising operational support versus having to worry about the monthly mortgage payment. And so that's what we're looking at there. And then again, I have $153,110 for potential lost revenues that the city may have incurred. That's just the first $6.1 million. And so from there, and we have until, I think, the end of next year, we'll get another $6.1 million. And we just have to have a plan established by the end of December 2024 on how we're going to use these funds. But we actually have until December 31, 2026 to expend all these funds. So fortunately, it's not something that's looking for a shovel-ready program. So out of the second allocation of funds, we would recommend, again, a second target area. And we would, again, lay out $1.5 million that would be used for the second target area, whatever that is. And what happened, the Johnson Street neighborhood was chosen by the GET community committee. So they would need to, along with staff, to identify where our second target neighborhood should be. And they probably already know. But that $1.5 million will be for the second target area. And then, again, another $1 million for housing rehabilitation and scattered site. So, Mayor and Council, that would establish $5 million for housing rehabilitation in Statesboro. I would believe that we should be able to help transform some neighborhoods with that $5 million. Again, another $3 million for infrastructure for water and sewer. And I will say this, and want to be transparent with everyone here. We will flesh this out in more detail, and we'll come back to council probably at the next work session and lay this out in more detail and how programs might operate. But part of what we will also look at, we'll look at neighborhoods that need water and sewer. But we also have some water and sewer plans that are already laid out. And not trying to be sneaky or anything, we also need a new fire department, fire station. However, that's not available. These funds cannot be utilized for a fire department. So what we may end up doing is reallocating some other water and sewer projects and utilizing some other city funds to help with the siting of a new fire department in the city of Statesboro. I also lay out $653,000 in lost revenue. That actually provides us some flexibility with our funds so we can go back and reallocate those funds. But our intent is not to send the federal government one penny of this $12.3 million, but to use it all here to improve neighborhoods and improve lives in Statesboro. And as I said to you, we plan to lay this out to you in more detail at the next work session, at the next meeting. But I'll be glad to answer any questions.
All right, thank you, Mr. Penny. Any discussion by council members?
Sounds good, thank you.
And, all right. Good deal. Thank you, Mr. Penny. Thank you to the staff, Kathy and your team, Jason. That's good. $5 billion in neighborhood revitalization over the next few years. That's transformative for this community. And that's with the hope that we are still going out the CHIP grants, community development block grants and things of that nature. So thank you guys so much for your work. We'll move down to agenda item.
Yeah, I got another item.
Mr. Penny.
Okay.
Go ahead, I'm sorry.
Well, I just want to say, we are going after CHIP and community development block grant funds, and the hope is that by getting these programs already established with these funds, it'll make us have a stronger application.
Okay.
The next item I want to talk about the vaccination incentives.
Okay.
I shared with you a memo after our last discussion, and you gave me some directions. And when we left that meeting, our staff did a little bit more digging, and the incentives that we laid out to you, the city can actually run a drawing. The drawing has to be run by a 501c3, and we consulted with GMA and Rushi Patel and his staff, and they came back and said, no, you can't do that. You have to work through a nonprofit organization in order to be able to do the drawings. And so this morning, what I wanted to say to the council is that, first, the simplest thing that we can do, which we can do with federal funds, is we can utilize the gift cards that you funded the last time. You funded 200 that time. We only utilized 68 of those gift cards. Our plan is to, the health department has already agreed to staff another vaccination clinic on September 18th at the Carol Love Jones Cultural Center.
Okay.
And that would go from 8:30 in the morning till like 12:30. We would give the balance of those cards out. And if council would like to, for us to go back and make that even 200, we would just need to get the balance of those cards done. But the vaccination clinics, the gift cards are the easiest things. But if we want to do some same-day drawings, like with the laptops, the headphones, the iPads, things of that nature, the game consoles, we would need to enlist the services of a nonprofit organization in order to be able to do that. And I even put out there, if you would like to do a same-day draw, even for those adults that come, you could do a $250 drawing, 2 of those for everyone that came in that day. But again, we could only do that with the assistance of a nonprofit organization. And so this morning, I'm seeking your direction as to whether you would like for us to just do the gift cards, or if you would like for us to do, dig a little bit deeper, identify a nonprofit organization, and authorize us to enter into an agreement with a nonprofit organization so that we will be able to offer those other incentives for folks that will come and get vaccinated.
Yeah, my immediate reaction is both. Both of those. Whatever we gotta do to get shots in arms, that's what we need to be doing. Council, what are your thoughts, Council?
I agree. I think we should look into getting a nonprofit to help with distributing.
It sounds like,
I'll follow along, sorry. You were looking at me. I'll do as you say, Mr. Penny, on this.
Okay.
it sounds like your research has led you to believe that same-day drawings are gonna be the simplest and easiest for us to do rather than over time.
Yeah, I mean, we can do the more complicated, but, again, we have to, we voluntary, but the same day drawings would add an extra layer of incentives there. And again, for you, and I know the last time, I presented, I don't read comments on social media, so I'll let y'all read those, because I'd still be able to recommend to you what I believe are good things. And people saying I was trying to create havoc in homes and all. That's not what I'm trying to do. What I want to do is.
If that's creating havoc in homes, the havoc was already there.
Yeah, what I want to do is I want to see young people get vaccinated.
Yeah.
I want to see adults get vaccinated.
Mhm.
These young folks that are below the age of 18, to come to our clinic on September 18th, they cannot come alone.
Yeah.
They have to have a parent or guardian
Mhm.
come with them that will sign for them to be able to get the vaccination. But with the gift cards, and unless y'all tell me different,
Mhm.
if a student comes, they will get a $50 gift card,
Mhm.
okay? If a parent comes and gets vaccinated, they will get a $50 gift
Mhm.
card. But at the end of the day, all those students that came could be entered into drawings for a laptop,
Mhm.
headphones, a game console, AirPods, iPad. We wouldn't do all, we would have probably one or two of each one of those things.
Mhm.
But at the end of the day, they would be entered into a drawing that they could, their odds are actually better.
Mhm.
And if we had adults, if we had 100 adults, they would have pretty good odds that day for a $250 drawing if we did one or two of those.
Mhm.
I think that's the easiest way to incentivize our public to come and to get tested, to get the vaccination. I will also say that we also had people that came to our community from outside the county to get vaccinated last week. But I believe in order to get 200, we need to have it on the date that people are not working.
Mhm.
So work is not a hindrance to them
Yeah.
coming.
And I think what needs to be clear is that we did vaccinations for 4 hours and 68 people showed up. So if you break that down, that's a shot in the arm every 5 minutes. So to me, that's successful. But I believe Mr. Councilman Boyd had a statement.
Well, I think you're mixing the two. You got the $50 gift card on the one hand, and then you have a drawing, which is gonna require us to hire a 501c3 to
Mhm.
operate the thing.
Mhm.
I don't know that you can get that set up in time for the 18. Not only that, but how do you handpick the 501c3? I mean, now you start, and they're gonna wanna charge us. Nobody's gonna do this for free. So, my point is, maybe we just need since it's the easiest, cleanest, and clearest way to do this, just focus on giving out those cards and maybe doing as many of these things as we can. But one of my suggestions is do it on water cutoff day. I mean, no one come in to get their water cut off and get a shot, 2 for 1.
That's what we were trying, we've already
With the
passed,
first one.
that first water cutoff day. And
We got 3 every month. don't we?
Yeah, but the first one was like, would have been this past Friday. But we thought we might catch some folks, but there wasn't much, and I think I said cross-pollination. The folks, and we were standing out front and we were asking folks a year for vaccination or a utility bill. And they looked at us real strange, no, I can't pay my utility bill. Very few of them coming for the utility bill actually came over to get,
Got the vaccine.
to get a
Fair enough.
vaccine. But again, we can try that again. I think it would be great to go ahead and identify some additional dates. The health department is a willing participant,
Mhm.
and they like the incentives. They like, I hate to say this, sounds sort of morbid, they like giving shots.
Is the 18th a Saturday?
It
Yeah,
is a Saturday.
it's a Saturday.
So there'll be a farmer's market, and I'm sure we can do some advertisement
Yeah,
and push it.
yeah.
You gonna have it all day, or?
No,
Is it
it's only
25?
4 hours. It'll
Just
be
4
for
hours.
4 hours. And if we go beyond 4 hours, we have to find another location.
Oh, I see.
Oh, it's not here.
Yes,
Yeah,
so
it's
it's
gonna
gonna
be a
be in
little bit
Carroll
more.
of Jonesville.
Yeah.
But again, we'll go ahead and identify the 25th is coming.
Yeah.
And, you know, and again, the health department is flexible in the willingness to work for us.
I mean, maybe we just, when you're identifying dates, just a thought, maybe identify when we're having the event. I mean, I know, the event you guys had,
The youth council, this is the
yeah, at
follow-up.
the Ag South, I mean, you snagged 40 people that you wouldn't otherwise snag because they were just walking by. So let's maybe look at some big events and pop up a tent out at tailgate, who knows? Why not?
So
I'm just saying, think of other ways, instead of trying to attract people, let's go to where the people are and see if we can get them.
That's smart.
Yeah.
So this Saturday, the 18th, is the follow-up to the youth council. So kids whoever came and got their first shot then can come and get their second shot. That's the reason for the timing, why it's on that day.
That wasn't my thinking, Ms. Barr, but I like it. That wasn't my thinking. I didn't think we could get it done the 11th, so that's why I pushed out to the 18th. Plus, the folks that came on the 1st, I think they may be close that they can come back for their second shot as well.
Okay.
So I like what you're proposing about more $50 gift cards, use up what we have left and buy more if we need them. Also like, because we're encouraging children at this, follow up to the youth and the fact that it's at the park, having the prizes. If you are able to identify a partner who's willing to run the cash prizes for us, to go ahead and do that on the 18th as well. And I also like Mr. Boyum's idea, let's do it again as quickly as we can. And I like having it at City Hall, if we,
Okay.
as often as we can set it up and give away the gift cards and the $250 cash drawings twice each time.
We can do that, we'll lay it out. Again, in order to work with and Kane helped me out, in order to work with the nonprofit, we need authorization from council
We would.
to be able to do that.
Well, and a specific MOU, correct? Yeah.
Or at least authorization to enter into an MOU with the terms set by council.
Okay. So next time we come together, that can be in front of us.
Okay, but now, that's going to be after the 18th.
Yeah, is that something, can we approve that today? Pending,
If we had a, just setting the parameters required by law, setting a max of the prize amount and a max on an administrative fee, y'all could resolve to authorize the mayor to enter into a contract under those terms.
Sharon, what's your thought?
I'm not comfortable with that. I'm not comfortable with signing contracts where we don't have things outlined ahead of time.
Okay.
I'm very not comfortable with that.
Other council members?
So you're saying we have to wait another 2 weeks before we can do one?
Yeah.
We can't have the cash drawings on the 18th
Yeah, we
because
probably
you
wait
want to
until
look
the
at the
next time we
contract?
come together.
But we can still do the gift cards.
Yeah, we can still do the gift cards.
Correct.
Yeah.
But we can't, how about, okay, we can't
Do we
do
need-
cash prizes, can we do the other prizes for the kids?
You
No
wouldn't be able to do that.
prizes.
We wouldn't be able to do any of that.
But what we could do, we have the names of the folks that will have been vaccinated on the 18th.
Okay.
And if you enter into an agreement
Post then.
at post, then you could include them in the drawing.
So we can do the drawing post and then that way we can get the MOU in front of.
Right.
I'm comfortable with that. The council, what y'all think?
I'm thinking if we just advertise the children and youth and adults can get the $50 cash card.
Right.
And then if we can come back with additional incentives, great, but I like your, under promise and over deliver.
Yeah.
So we're not sure what all we're gonna come up on, so let's don't be promising that they might get a prize later, let's just go with the $50.
So
Do you need authorization for additional gift cards? Because
Yes.
right now, you're at 200, which means you get 132 left. Right?
Mhm.
Right, I have 132.
Is that gonna be enough?
We hope not.
I hope not.
I know.
Well,
but-
then do we need to authorize you to go purchase up to 200 or 250 or what?
Let me look at the finance director, where is she?
I'd like, if y'all wanna give out, have on hand 250 or 300, I would like authorization to go ahead and purchase the additional ones to make up that difference.
No sweat?
Let's say 300.
So we have the 132, and she would get the difference to make it a total of 300 for Saturday.
168.
168.
Okay.
Okay? And we'll come back to you at the next council meeting with the MOU, and we will know what, if we can identify a nonprofit that's willing to work with us, we'll bring it back to you.
Okay.
Okay?
All right.
Are we gonna have a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a
Yeah.
motion to
Yeah.
authorize an additional 168 $50 gift cards to be distributed during our vaccination efforts.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
We had 3 seconds.
And Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
one last thing,
Mhm.
just simply to say to council, the Grady Street Park, we think by mid-September, it's pretty much complete, except for getting we haven't put the basketball goals up, but getting the sod, and I think there's one piece of playground equipment that's not in.
Okay.
And so once that's done, then we'll have that small ribbon cutting, so folks can get in there and start utilizing it.
Okay. All right, thank you, Mr. Penny. All right, we'll move down to agenda item 15, public comments. Are there any public comments? All right. Seeing that there is none, is there a need for executive session? Council? Staff? Seeing that there is not, we move down to agenda item.
I'm sorry, Mr. Mayor, do we not still need to look at those evaluations, or do we not have what we need, Mr. Vine, still to complete that?
I think we have, do we have everything in? Okay. All right, thank you. So we move down to agenda item 17, which is consideration of a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second? All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you. State Store,